powerlifting journey. Previously, sober powerlifting and also Allan's master powerlifting. So I have an old channel. That's not that old, a couple of years old, called Sober Powerlifting. I got over 700 subscribers. Something happened where I changed the code. I think I changed the code on my Google account because I think somebody was hacked into it. I'm not sure. And I lost control. I had two channels at the same time. I had Allan's Masters Powerlifting, which is this channel right here, which had over 100 different subscribers with no videos on it at the time. And then I had another one called Sober Powerlifting, which was the one I put all my videos on, called Sober Powerlifting. It's still out there. I don't have control over it anymore. I couldn't get back into it after I changed my code for some reason. Maybe it's on a different Google account. Maybe I had two. I don't remember how I made the channel. Drinking a little coffee, late night coffee. Well, not late night. I don't have to work tomorrow. Need a little pick me up. No workout today. I painted the laundry room in the basement of my house. I remodeled that whole thing. I put up the drywall, uh, filled it in, with the mud. And now I'm putting the floor in tomorrow. One person jumped on, they jumped right off. Okay, yeah, it's not the most exciting video. I went to my sister's house today, and I got some air conditioning she's given me. I'm going back there again to get a cedar chest that I built I built it in high school in wood shop. She is moving. She's moving to a small apartment after her divorce, and there's a lot of stuff she's given me. She gave me a lot of interesting stuff today, and yet in the last weekend too. Stuff that pertains to my family tree and my ancestry. I learned a lot of interesting stuff today in these two folders she gave me. Yeah, one folder has my grandfather's death certificate. I think his birth certificate's in there also. He died in 1957, and he was born in 1897. World War One veteran. I'm drinking coffee. That's all. Coffee. But yeah, I learned a lot about my ancestry, and I found out about my grandfather. That's the only now out of the four grandparents I had on my father's side is the only grandparent I never was able to meet because he died in 1957. On my father's side, his father, I never met him. All the other grandparents I knew all the way up until my late 20s, early 30s. They lived till high. Noah. Um, Interesting thing I found out about my grandfather's ancestry. How my grandfather um, got to Nova Scotia. Very interesting. What's that? My granddad fought. Yeah, my grandfather was before that in World War One. He was in the Nova. He was in the Canadian Army. In the they had a division because it was a British colony at the time. It had its independence from Britain, but it was still considered a colony. And if Britain went to war, they had to fight alongside the Brits, even in World War II. But anyways, he was in the Scotch Highland Division. He wore a kilt into battle. Uh, but I found out. What, yeah, I have a quarter Irish in me, a quarter Scandinavian, which is that's the Scottish heritage. It shows up in the DNA as Scandinavian from the Vikings, and then I'm a quarter Polish, and then the rest of me is split between Italian, Spanish, and probably German. Very mixed. Okay, so anyways, my grandfather on my father's side, his family, how they arrived in Nova Scotia. Uh, I got a picture that my of my grandfather's parents. His great great grandfather, talking 1775. His family was from Maryland, USA. And in 1777, he enlisted in the Maryland Third Regiment, whatever. I have the exact thing in there. I have it all written down, and it documented the Maryland Third Division. I even have the his commanding officers' names and everything from 1777. Well, anyways, he was captured by the British after the Battle of Camden, or during the Battle of Camden, which was in Pennsylvania, a big battle in the Revolution, captured by the British in 1780, documented. He now he was his regiment had officially deemed him as missing in action. No, I don't live by him. Mike Birch lives in Boston. Mike Birch lives in New York, upstate New York. I'm very good friends with him. He's like my best friend, though. Competed with him every time he's come back. I mean, every comeback meet he's done, powerlifting competition, I've been there except one. I've been to it either as a referee or I've competed alongside him. Okay, anyways, back to my story. So he was in the Battle of Camden. He got captured by the British 1780. Uh, he went to a British prisoner of war camp in South Carolina. I have the name and everything in there. Anyways, but the U.S. the Maryland Third Division or Regiment had listed him as missing or dead, pretty much dead. But he was actually in a prisoner of war camp. When he got out of that prisoner of war camp in South Carolina, he had nothing, absolutely nothing. He signed up with the British as a private. So he fought on both sides. I guess you could call it almost a turncoat. He had no. I guess in those days you didn't really have much of a choice of the matter too much. You could either starve to death or join up with the British, because South Carolina was completely run by the British in 1780. So he served then. Yeah, like I said, he was captured in 1780, Battle of Camden. He was released from that prison in 1781, just before the Battle of Yorktown, the one that the British General Cornwallis was surrounded by the colonials and by the French fleet out in the harbor. Uh, Hello, everybody. Hey, Carl, how you doing, buddy? That's my old shipmate, boy. Great guy there. Yep, he was the second mate on a 192-foot motor yacht that me and him were on. Great guy, great guy. Yep. But anyways, okay, so he was released in 1781. He joined the British as a private just before the Battle of Yorktown. Of course, the United States won that. That was pretty much the last big battle of the Revolution. They didn't officially surrender until 1783. But he ended up going to Nova Scotia with his regiment. That's where the regiment went after the war. And he got decommissioned, or whatever you want to call it, out of the service in 1784. I wasn't a captain on a yacht. No, I wasn't. No, sir. I was a deckhand. This is going back to 1993. Me and Carl traveled all over Europe on that yacht. Well, I think Carl left us. When was it, Carl? Finland or something like that, or Sweden, somewhere around there. Yeah, so he was in both. My direct ancestors fought on both sides. He fought on the colonial side, and he fought a long time with the colonials, 1777, 78, 4 years, and he got captured. And like I said before, you didn't have much choice. He was a private. He wasn't anybody big, probably very poor. And in those days, you couldn't exactly jump on a damn train to get home. He was pretty much stuck in South Carolina with nothing. But he ended up in Scotia with his United States, and you fought on the British side. You had to get out of the country. ended up in Nova Scotia with his regiment, anyways. And when he got out of there, they gave him 100 acres of land in Nova Scotia. Okay. Stationed in Morocco during the Cold War, but he didn't fight anyone. Oh yeah, that's still thank you for his service. You know, Cold War was very scary. Yeah, 100 acres of land in Nova Scotia. It wasn't worth that much. We're talking, you know, in the 1780s, probably all wild. It was all wilderness, probably. But anyways, that's how my on my father's side, his father got his family got to the United States. They were originally from here, colonists from here. And on my grandmother's side, on his side, I've learned a lot about her ancestors. Her great grandfather was a famous Scottish bard from Scotland. A bard is basically a teller of tales and songs and poetry. And he wrote. And when he moved to Nova Scotia, he wrote for all the wrote articles for a lot of all the major newspapers in Canada, like the Canada, like Toronto and all that. So he was somewhat famous. And I found out I got a book all about that side of the family. There's a book from Nova Scotia that my father had gotten about it on my grandmother's side, on my father's side. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about my ancestry. It's very fascinating, you know. So that bard, anyways, he came from Scotland originally, and I have a book. I'll have to break out the book sometime. His ancestors, his I think is either his father, I think grandfather was a Highland Games, very famous Highland Game competitor who was ranked number 2 in Scotland at the time in the Highland Games. There was one guy that was better, that was ranked higher than him. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, that was kind of, I think that's kind of a hoax, to be honest with you. No, but I love I'm really into the Viking lore, and all I know about the is what did they call? I forgot what they called Newfoundland. They had a name for it, but they did settle in Newfoundland. They found a coin in Maine on the beach. I'm not. They're not sure though. I mean, that could have been planted. There's no proof that that was actually washed up, but it was a real Viking coin. Yeah, they're tearing the island apart. They've never. I don't really believe it. I think it was a big waste of time, in my opinion. You know, I didn't get caught up in that. You know, watching that. He does like. Oh yeah, okay. Who is it? Yeah, I'll watch him. I love Viking lore. You see, my Scottish DNA. It's Highland Scotch. It shows up as Scandinavian, so it must be the Danes or the Swedes. You know, it must be that. And then also the Irish. A lot of the Irish intermarried with the Vikings. So I have a lot of that Scottish DNA, and I just loved watching the Vikings that show. And I love Viking. I play a lot of Viking music on my channel. I mean, I just love that. I don't know. It's just, yeah, the blood and guts and the glory of it, you know? Yeah, definitely. I just love it, man. And I like bagpipe music, Scott. I mean, why would a guy nowadays love that kind of music? It's got to be it's in my blood, you know? Yeah, I watched it. I might watch it again. I saw it there. Yeah, I'll probably watch the whole series again. There's two of them that are good. One of them is about has got Leif Erikson in it, which is pretty good. And then the original one's the best, though. You know, Ragnar Lofson. You know. Oh, that's great, man. That's great. Yeah, try go for the 200 pounds and go up, and then make a new goal for 225. You know, 200 would be the first one. The first time I ever benched 200 pounds, I don't really remember when exactly it was. I believe it was in 88, 1988 or 80. It might have been in 1987. Yeah, you might. You might want to have your DNA tested. Oh, there's a big car going by. Car going by made a lot of noise. But anyways, a lot of the people that were settled in Scotland, even in York, York, England, that was the capital of the Vikings that had captured a lot of England. There are a lot of them. You'll have a lot. There's a lot with Danish and Swedish, Norwegian blood, out there. Yeah, and that's what it shows up on my DNA that I'm Scandinavian. I'm also a quarter. I knew I was. My grandmother on my mother's side's Polish, so I knew I was Polish. That showed up right away. Uh, 1/4 Polish, and I found out that her parents, my grandmother's parents, had come from Poland, right near the Russian border. I did have the I don't remember the name of the town or city, but I did have it. I did find it though one day. You know how I found that out from? Somehow I found out from the 1940 USA Census Bureau. Her parents, my grandmother's parents, were living with my mother was born in 1940, so I looked up the census, and my mother was listed in the same household as my mother. Okay, my mother, grandmother, grandfather, and her parents were living in the same house on Lawton Street in Fairhaven, Mass. And it listed where they came from. My mother's, it would be my mother's grandfather and grandfather. It was somewhere in Poland, near the Russian border. And then on my grandfather's side, that's even fast. That's even more. That's pretty fascinating too. My grandfather on my mother's side, that can trace back to they came over to Taunton, Massachusetts area in the 1640s, early 1640s. That's when my grandfather, part of his family, came over. I'm not sure if it was his mother's side or father's side. No, it was the father's side. They came over in 1640, and they were some of the first settlers in Taunton, Massachusetts. There's actually a graveyard in East Taunton. It's all that's Padelford is my middle name. The whole graveyard is from the late 1700s, 1800s, all Padelfords. One of my relatives was the governor of Rhode Island. He was a Padelford. I think he became governor in 1867. He also worked with Lincoln to emancipate the slaves. Yeah, there's a Wikipedia page. If you look up Padelford, you'll find his Wikipedia page as the governor of Rhode Island in the in I think sorry 1867, something like that, somewhere around there. Might have been 1870 something. I don't remember exactly. But he's a Padelford, and he did work very closely with Lincoln on getting the slaves. He was a Republican on getting the slaves free. He was lieutenant governor also of Rhode Island. Very interesting family stuff today. I know we're way off the topic of powerlifting, but it's just a little bit about my family. Yep, the four. You have four grandparents. So that's where you got to trace it, and then that breaks down. You know what I mean? And then I heard that. Then I know. I heard. I don't have it as documented as much, but on my grandfather's side, his mother's side, they came from the Carolinas, and somewhere in the ancestry on my grandfather's mother's side, there was a Confederate war veteran. Maybe his great grandfather was a Confederate war veteran. And he's buried at Riverside Cemetery, and he actually has a military marker on his grave. I guess they consider the Confederate, a Confederate was a military soldier. But those are the sides of my family. Yeah, I don't know that much about let's see, my grandmother's mother, not too much. just about the father's side. I think. Yeah, I think I get them mixed up. It gets confusing. But I got uh, a lot of mentions about it. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing there, Daniel? It's crazy when all the documents. The only thing. I came up with the side of my family that lived in Maryland, 1777, and enlisted. I figured that they really had no way of knowing because they didn't exactly have they didn't have email and all that back then. You had no idea if someone got captured whether they were dead, missing, or dead or missing or captured. They had no way of knowing. It wasn't like the British were gonna write you a letter and say we have this person or that person, and the letter was gonna get through. Big chillin', gonna make some chicken and black. Nice, sounds good. That sounds good, Daniel. Yeah, I haven't had dinner really yet. I just had a lot of little snacks today. My beautiful lady is working. She's a nurse. She'll be getting out soon, pretty soon. I'm gonna eat something. I don't know what we're gonna have. Maybe just hamburgers or something. But that's what I did today, basically. I moved a couple of air conditioners my sister gave me, and found out a lot of that information. Yeah, I also found my father's enlistment papers when he enlisted in World War One. He was 5 foot 8.5, only 144 pounds. People were a lot smaller back then, over 100 years ago. So this is 1916. People were a lot smaller then. Uh, I think I got a lot of my size from on my grandmother's side, on my father's side, the Scotch from there. Yeah, I think that's where I got that. Probably maybe from the Highland Games guy, and also the bard there, the poet. He was a big man also. I have a picture of him also from. He lived a long life. I think he was born in very very early 1800s, and he died in 1904 or something like that, somewhere around there. That's where I think I got my side. But my father's father was enlisted he was 5 foot 8.5, 144 pounds. Also, his brother Roy, who my dad was named after, Roy, that would have been my dad's uncle, enlisted. And we have a letter that my grandfather had sent from either Belgium or France in the trenches. I'm not sure where he was at. Could have been Belgium or France in the trenches, trench warfare. He wrote it home, and his brother Roy, who was younger, was getting ready to enlist. And Harold is my grandfather's name, Harold Greenson. He wrote a letter saying, "Please reconsider enlisting. It's not very glamorous what they advertise in Canada. It wasn't. This is not a very glamorous scene," he said. And pretty much in those words, he said there are people dying left and right, uh, bodies getting eaten by rats. He goes, "It's not a glamorous sight. Please keep him from enlisting." But he didn't listen, of course. You wanted to serve your country, and he enlisted, and he didn't make it more than a month over in France or in Belgium, wherever my great uncle Roy went. He ended up dying in World War One. And yeah, I have his enlistment paper. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah, there are a lot of horror poems. World War One is horrible, horrible war. They fought and they were fighting with modern weapons, still using fortification Napoleonic tactics, where one army would face the other and charge at each other. They were still using Napoleonic tactics in modern warfare then. Yeah, the Germans changed that in World War II with Blitzkrieg when they invaded France. in Poland. They changed that fortress type mentality. The French hadn't gotten it yet, of course, with the Maginot Line. They still had a fixed fort facing Germany, and the Germans ended up coming up with blitzkrieg, which means using all different forces at once, quick lightning warfare. But they didn't have that in World War One, and millions of people died. You know, they had bayonet charges right at machine gun nests, from what I remember hearing. I had a lot of pictures. I don't have them anymore of my grandfather. Luckily, I still have one. It's in my community post of my grandfather when he was over. When he enlisted with his sister. But yeah, it was a horrible war. Like I said, my uncle Roy died a month after he enlisted. Not a month after he enlisted. Once he got over there, you know, after he got out of boot camp and all that, he was in the same Scotch Highland Division. But that's that. And I also have an actual Uncle Roy that was in D-Day. He was probably named after Roy, my great uncle too. He was in D-Day. I have a picture of him in there too. What was I thinking about? Yeah. I also have my grandfather's funeral book from 1957. It's pretty interesting. Funeral book shows when the day he died and all that. And that's about it for that. There's something else I can't remember though, you know. Yeah, it was a horrible war though. I used to have all his stuff. My sister ended up giving it to my father's brother, who was the last one from that generation still alive. He died when he was in his late 90s. She ended up giving it to him, all the stuff from his father's. He was still alive, you know, and he wanted to kind of reconnect with his dad again, you know, through the pictures and all that. Yeah, I know my grandfather was wounded twice in World War One, and he actually stayed at the Queen Mary, who was one of the Queen of England at the time, at her I forget what it was called, but it was her hospital she had in England. Had an autograph from her too. We don't have that anymore. We don't know where it is now because my uncle died a couple of years ago. But yeah, really brought back a lot of memories. A lot of pictures of my grandmother in there from the 1930s. Uh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Wow, really? That's a cool name, though. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for watching. Anyways, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna work on tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. I might take 2 days in a row. I have Sunday and Monday off now from work. I don't know. I might do something. I don't know. I was going to take a couple of days off. That last deadlift workout yesterday was really killed me, man. The deadlifts, and I did front squats. And what else did I do? I did front squats, something else. I can't remember. Oh, I did some barbell rows, bunch of barbell rows. Yeah, it really kicked my ass, man. And then I moved those air conditioners, man, from my sister's second floor and these steep stairs. Kind of took a little. I'm 57, so it doesn't take. I'm not like I'm in my 20s, you know. And then I also painted the laundry room today on my day off. But we'll see, you know. With that, I'm probably gonna call it a night here. Everybody, yeah, I forgot. You know, Easter Sunday. Everybody have. I wonder, did everybody have a wonderful Easter today? Yeah, mine was okay. It was mostly a lot of work though I did today, which is okay, you know. But I hope everybody had a blessed Easter, Resurrection Day, you know. That's what we should call it, Resurrection Day. With that, you guys have a blessed evening. I will talk again tomorrow. Good night.